Canada has joined 152 other countries at the UN General Assembly, voting in favor of calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war and moving away from its tradition of voting with Israel at the UN. Israel's ambassador to Canada says this UN resolution changes nothing, and he has expressed his deep disappointment in Canada's vote. For a closer look at the UN vote, at what it means, former Major General Dennis Thompson is joining us from Montreal this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Lindsey.
So Israel's ambassador says this vote means nothing, but it is a significant drop in support for Israel. I mean, 33 more countries supported this vote for a ceasefire than supported a similar resolution back in October. So I want to ask you, what does this drop in support mean for Israel and for the war?
The Israeli ambassador is right. It's non-binding, but it has moral weight, if you will. It's an expression of the international community's concern over the situation in Gaza, and the fact that Canada, as well as New Zealand and Australia, voted along with the other 150 members that you mentioned, is not insignificant. In addition to that, we heard yesterday from Mr. Biden that Israel must stop its indiscriminate bombing of the Gaza Strip. Those are his words. So the window for international legitimacy that Israel has enjoyed up until this point, perhaps not enjoyed, but certainly benefited from the support of nations like Canada and the United States, is closing, and they need to sit up and pay attention.
I want to ask you about Joe Biden. U.S. President Joe Biden has warned Israel is losing support and that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is alienating allies with the growing humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The U.S., as you mentioned, voted against the call for a ceasefire in this latest UN vote, but this rift between the two countries, it is showing a little bit. Can the U.S. use its support to influence Israel?
The United States is perhaps the only country that can influence Israel. You might recall that at the very start of this, Mr. Biden warned Israel against harnessing their rage to direct their operations in the Gaza Strip, and they obviously haven't taken that advice on board. And he was referring, of course, to what the United States went through after 9/11. But they do provide over $4 billion in a normal year, over $4 billion U.S. a year to Israel in the form of military support, and they could pull the plug on that. But in terms of the Gaza Strip, Israel can continue, has defied the UN for many years, and they really do need to understand that now, despite the fact that they have not achieved their military aim, which again is to destroy Hamas in its entirety, they need to change up the fashion in which they are attacking the Gaza Strip and in which they are going after Hamas, and take a much more targeted approach, if you will.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, at the moment, their modus operandi, if you will, is not population-centric. In other words, they spend a lot of time observing the Gaza Strip from above, determining where they believe Hamas to be, and then bombing them from the air before they send in their ground troops. Before all of that happens, of course, they're warning the Gazan population, the innocent people, if you will, to move out of the way. And the spaces that they're moving them to are getting smaller and smaller. One such space is called Al-Mawasi, which is west of Khan Yunis, a city in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And that area is 8.5 square kilometers, and they want, 1 million plus people to move into it, and there's no infrastructure there. So these are not realistic demands to make of a population that's already on the move. And so Israel's approach, military approach, is not conducive to them winning over the population or even destroying Hamas.
Former Major General Dennis Thompson, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.